All right, let's start today with news out of Russia and Ukraine. These headlines are sort of unbelievable. I'm going to stop short of calling them Kafkaesque, but it's almost appropriate. The Associated Press reports that Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has declared martial law in the annexed regions of Ukraine. Now, that headline might make sense if there was really an annexation that took place. What we're really talking about is occupied regions of Ukraine in which Putin is claiming sovereignty, but in which there really is no sovereignty. And so it's kind of a weird thing to say I'm declaring martial law in parts of a different country, which is fundamentally what Putin is doing. But of course, his perspective would be a different one. Let's look at a little bit of this article, and we'll talk about the reasons for this and the implications and sort of what comes next. Associated Press, once again, Russian President Vladimir Putin declared martial law Wednesday in the 4 regions of Ukraine that Moscow annexed and gave additional emergency powers to the heads of all regions of Russia. Putin didn't immediately spell out the steps that would be taken under martial law. I think we can guess some of them, but said his order was effective starting Thursday. His decree gives law enforcement agencies 3 days to submit specific proposals and orders the creation of territorial defense forces in those 4 annexed regions. The statement here from Putin, again, it's all extremely dystopian. Quote, "We are working to solve very difficult large-scale tasks to ensure Russia's security and safe future, to protect our people." Those who are on the front lines are undergoing training at firing ranges and training centers should feel our support and know that they have our big, great country and unified people behind their back. Sounds a little bit Trumpy, quite frankly. The Associated Press article also adds the upper house of Russia's parliament was set to quickly seal Putin's decision to impose martial law. Again, the regions we're talking about are Donetsk, Kherson, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia. Draft legislation indicates it may involve restrictions on travel and public gatherings, tighter censorship, and broader authority for law enforcement agencies. Think about the evil genius of this, right? It's not even your country. You say, oh, yeah, we're annexing these parts of the country. It's not formally done. And I understand that when a country is annexing part of another, the idea of formality, often what you're talking about is just years of it sort of being under the control. And then you say, well, I guess now it's kind of annexed. That definitely has not happened. And then you say, now that this is part of our country and we've annexed this, we're going to impose further restrictions and further repress and suppress reporting from the area, et cetera. The belief, there's a few different beliefs, sort of like most likely lowest hanging fruit priorities here. One would be legal cover for the wave of repressions that are certainly that is certainly to come, as absurd as that cover is. Hey, this is Russia now, and so now we're imposing martial law. The other aspect of this, and a couple of people wrote to me, said, you know, David, it's kind of silly to say you're like imposing martial law in any kind of formal way because it's a war zone, and so by definition, it's all kind of under the control, at least ostensibly, of the military. So to now declare the martial law, it kind of is under a de facto martial law type situation because it's militaries fighting each other. We're looking at a forced mobilization of Ukrainians in the area to start getting the Ukrainians out. And this is, by many reasonable assessments, a war crime. But by pretending that this is now Russia, that these 4 regions are part of Russia, and that the individuals there are Russian, because remember, he's, quote, annexed it, I don't want to call it plausible, but it sort of is a 1% attempt at claiming that what you're doing is just the governance of your own country rather than an alleged war crime. So it's bonkers and it's crazy. And of course, we continue to wonder about what is the end game here. There does not seem to be a face-saving off-ramp for Vladimir Putin here. And increasingly, the questions among the United States and Western allies continue to be, how far do we allow this to go and for how long? And what are the sort of red lines at which point different interventions would happen? For how long and to what degree and in what particular ways do we, again, U.S., Western allies, NATO, et cetera, sort of these Venn circles of those individual groups, continue to fund and supply Ukraine? And at what point do we imagine that the circumstances may change? And there aren't really good answers to that. In the U.S., as is often the case, the conversation becomes what I call toxically partisan. And what I mean by that is, of course, if different individuals with different worldviews would have different opinions about what should be done in Russia. Obviously, more isolationist individuals would say we should do nothing. We shouldn't even send money, don't send arms, send nothing at all. Don't send legs, don't send anything. That's a joke, by the way. Others would say, well, we send money but not arms, or we send money and arms but absolutely nothing beyond that. Or, well, what about training? And then, of course, at the very far end of that would be sort of boots on the ground. The unfortunate thing is that when I say it's become toxically partisan, you have many right-wingers who seek only to attack Joe Biden, who take the position that Biden is just wasting money in Ukraine. Now, a lot of these same people earlier were saying Biden hasn't done enough to protect the Ukrainian people, and Russia never would have even invaded if Trump was president. So you can't really get anywhere with about 60 to 70% of people on this issue. I'm really willing to entertain reasonable perspectives. I don't want to say from both sides, but regardless of political ideology, I'm willing to entertain reasonable perspectives that will both not allow Russia to just walk all over whoever they want to walk over, while also not committing or involving the United States in a way that would be either counterproductive or not particularly appropriate, given that we should not be the world's police. I'm willing to entertain any reasonable ideas that fall under that umbrella. If you have any as to what this should look like, feel free to email me. Last night, incumbent Republican Florida Senator Marco Rubio was brutally crushed in a disastrous debate for him by challenger Democratic Congresswoman Val Demings. I have not seen a debate like this in a long time. And we've covered now close to a dozen different 2022 debates live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, as we tend to do. I have not seen such a one-sided debate until last night's debate, where Val Demings just crushed Rubio. He looked despondent at certain points. I also will mention Rubio seemed not only like he didn't want to be there, but sort of like he didn't think he needed to be there. His attitude the entire debate was that Val Demings is sort of beneath him. Why does he have to waste his time as the incumbent senator debating this lowly other individual? And she really crushed him. Now, before we look at some clips, I will mention Demings wasn't perfect. She definitely wasn't perfect. There were a few moments where she gave Rubio very good openings for easy and effective rebuttals, and you heard from the crowd that they were effective. There were some moments that just weren't perfect, but she was really, really good. Demings came out very, very hot after Rubio accused her of never having passed any legislation. Let's just jump right into these. This is very interesting.
She's been in Congress for over half a decade. She's never passed a bill, not PPP, not anything. Not a single bill she's passed has ever become law. I'm proud of the fact we saved millions of jobs. I'm proud of the fact we did it in a bipartisan way.
That's not true. I know the senator, look, and I'm really disappointed in you, Marco Rubio, because I think there was a time when you did not lie in order to win. I don't know what happened to you. You know that is not true. My first term in the United States House, I passed legislation to help law enforcement officers with mental health programs. Your first term in the Senate, you voted to turn Medicare into, basically to abolish it, and then turn it into an underfunded voucher program. And then you gave the biggest tax break to the richest of the rich and said you'd pay for it with cuts to Social Security and Medicare.
Now, not only was she very much prepared for these attacks, Val Demings chose to do something interesting during the debate. While Marco Rubio continued to basically address the moderator, Val Demings regularly turned to Marco Rubio and directly addressed him. Now, in our live chat, there were some people who said this is not a good approach. It's coming off as too aggressive and confrontational. Val Demings is trying to play from behind here, and we'll look at the polling in a bit. I actually think that this was exactly right, because when she would do that, when she would turn to Rubio, Rubio visibly shrank away. He shrank away from the confrontation. Let's look at more clips, and these really are good. Here's just another. These don't really need necessarily introductions.
Of course, the senator who has never run anything at all but his mouth would know nothing about helping people and being there for people when they are in trouble. No one planned the pandemic, but our response to it is everything. Individuals were hurting, families were hurting, businesses were hurting. We passed the CARES Act, which the senator supported. There were some problems in the CARES Act with the Paycheck Protection Program that you love to take credit for. Some say it was poorly written. Some say it didn't help the people that it was supposed to, didn't save the jobs that it was supposed to. There was a way to fix the problems in the PPP through the American Rescue Plan and help people that were in trouble. But you played politics, Senator, and you did not do that. Your number one job as a United States Senator is to protect the health, safety, and well-being of the American people. You've been at it for 24 years. Of course.
Yeah, she had a very good mix of passion, but also very specific claims from Marco Rubio's legislative past or lack thereof. This came up again during the topic of prescription drugs, and it's just hard to say anything other than Demings was prepared and Rubio seemed resentful of even having to be there.
He talked about pharmaceuticals. He voted against legislation that would help reduce the cost of prescription drugs and help cap the cost of insulin.
And Rubio, again, it seemed that he was unsure how to respond. Now, one of the other interesting things about Val Demings is they can't go after her with one of the really popular slogans of 2022, which is, you're part of this defund the police movement. Demings was a police officer, a police detective, and a police chief, and her credentials as a supporter of law enforcement while also supporting reform make it very difficult to attack her on those lines. And when the topic of gun violence came up, the difference in not only knowledge, but even commitment to dealing with gun violence was palpably different.
The majority of people in our nation want us to do just that. How long will you watch people being gunned down in first grade, fourth grade, high school, college, church, synagogue, a grocery store, a movie theater, a mall, and a nightclub, and do nothing?
Yeah, and that was a critical moment of the debate, in fact, where I think it sort of turned. Rubio seemed almost defeated after that point. His only real successes after that point in the debate were when Demings gave him an opening by misstepping about his legislative past. And those are certainly mistakes that she made. On continuing on the issue of gun violence, it just was really not good for Rubio.
Why are these people going out there and massacring people?
This is the same.
Because a lot of people own AR-15s and they don't kill everyone.
I understand, sir, but I want to go to Congresswoman Demings for 60 seconds.
You know, people who are the families of victims of gun violence just heard that, and they're asking themselves, what in the hell did he just say?
Indeed.
Senator, you used the Pulse nightclub shooting as your inspiration to run again for the Senate in 2016. Pulse is in my district. And yet, you've done nothing to help address gun violence and get dangerous weapons out of the hands of dangerous people.
True.
Florida. After Parkland, after you made promises that you had no intentions on keeping to the parents of Parkland, Florida passed legislation raising the age to have an assault weapon, passed red flag laws that we've seen 7,000 plus instances where they've been used now. Our primary responsibility is the safety of Floridians. And Senator, 24 years in elected office, and you have not yet risen to that occasion. And then when asked about it, you say something that makes no sense.
Yeah, and it didn't make any sense. Rubio was asked multiple times. You previously said you would support changing the age requirement for buying a rifle. And now you don't seem to. Why not? And Rubio just went in circles, never actually acknowledging, yes, I changed my position and here's why. I changed my position and here's why. One of the strangest moments was when the topic of election integrity, you know, whatever they want to call it, they have all these names that the name you use already implies a particular position. But the topic of ballot drop boxes came out, and Rubio talked about how dangerous they are.
That's a method of voting that doesn't advantage one group or another. There's danger involved in drop boxes. People need to think about it. Okay, imagine if someone decides, oh, there's a drop box, I'm just going to put some explosive in it and blow it up and burn all of those ballots, and now those votes don't count at all.
What?
Okay, there is something, with elections, there are two things that are very important. Number one, the count has to be accurate. The votes have to be counted accurately. But the other is there has to be public confidence.
Yeah. So Rubio saying the reasons that ballot drop boxes are bad are someone might bomb the drop box. Okay. I mean, hasn't happened. I wouldn't necessarily start giving people ideas. And he claims people don't have confidence in the drop boxes. Well, the first thing has never happened, and he probably shouldn't be encouraging people to do it, bombing a drop box. The second thing is the reason some people don't have confidence in drop boxes is because people like Marco Rubio tell them that the drop boxes can't be trusted, that you shouldn't have confidence in them. It's a vicious circle. We need voting systems that people confide in. And the reason people don't confide in this one is because I told them not to. Oh, well, stop telling them not to confide in it, and then we would eliminate that problem. Rubio earlier in the debate said, you know, on gun laws, stricter gun laws don't make a difference because the criminals would find a way around it. But then he's saying, well, we got to get rid of the drop boxes to avoid someone blowing one up. Well, wouldn't criminals just find a different way to burn ballots if that's what they were determined to do? It doesn't really make any sense. One more clip. The topic of abortion came up, and there were a lot of clips I could play on this, but in the interest of time, let's look at one in particular. This is really kind of emblematic of the dynamic on this issue during yesterday's debate.
That you talk about Lindsey Graham's bill, that's a 4-month ban. Okay, that is more lenient than every country in Europe, except for 2. The extremist on abortion in this campaign is Congresswoman Demings. She supports no restrictions, no limitations of any kind.
By the way, he said about 6 or 7 times that Val Demings supports no limitations. She multiple times said, I support no limitations up until the gestational age of viability, which I think it's between 21 and 26 weeks, roughly somewhere in there. But he just kept repeating that lie.
She voted against she's against a 4-month ban. She voted against a 5-month ban. She supports taxpayer-funded abortion on demand for any reason at any time up until the moment of birth. That's what she supports. That's the extreme position here. I have shown a willingness to work with people to save unborn innocent human life. She opposes any limitation of any kind, and no one ever asks them about that.
Councilwoman Demings.
Senator, how gullible do you really think Florida voters are?
Well, the people voting for Rubio are very gullible, so she's actually on to something there.
Number one, you have been clear that you support no exceptions, even including rape and incest. Now, as a police detective who investigated cases of rape and incest, no, Senator, I don't think it's okay for a 10-year-old girl to be raped and have to carry the seed of her rapist. No, I don't think it's okay for you to make decisions for women and girls. As a senator, I think those decisions are made between the woman, her family, her doctor, and her faith. And to stand over there and say that I don't support abortions up to the time of birth is just a lie. But to help protect the life of the mother, which you looked at that like it was just, that's kind of a side issue. Senator, you know that you have said you don't support any exception.
So the debate dramatically in Demings' favor. The question is it too little too late? Because the polling is not particularly good for Val Demings. Latest Real Clear Politics average of recent polling has Marco Rubio up 4.7 points, just shy of 5 points. That is a big deficit to overcome in just 2.5 weeks, or how long do we have left until the election? Just under 3 weeks. It is a deficit to overcome. But let's hope that yesterday's debate performance will help Val Demings overcome some of it. One other thing, it always happens. You know, this has been going on for so long. when a woman like Val Demings shows up, takes the aggressive approach, turns and looks at Rubio when she's telling him that he's lying, points to Rubio, there are always reactions that, oh, she's being too aggressive, she's too assertive, et cetera, et cetera. And the same sort of demeanor from male candidates is often seen as powerful, commanding, indicative of control over the issues and the circumstances. And there were indeed even people in my chat yesterday saying, oh, Demings is coming off too aggressive, turning this, that, the other thing. I think she did. I genuinely think she did a great job. She did a fantastic job. One of the best debate performances so far. Not perfect, but very, very close. And let's see what kind of ground, if any, Val Demings can make up in the 20 or so days between now and the election. Let me know your thoughts, your reaction to the debate. You can find me on Twitter at @dpacman. Don't forget that the best way to support the David Pakman Show is by becoming a member, which gives you access to the daily bonus show, the regular show with no commercials. You also get access to our entire archive of every episode dating back a really long time and plenty of other awesome membership perks. Go to joinpacman.com and use the coupon code BETTER21 for a huge discount. Joinpacman.com. The David Pakman Show, of course, is a viewer, listener, audience, community-supported program. I would love for you to sign up at joinpacman.com. Do the thing. Do the thing. All the kids are talking about it, and the adults, too, I have to say. Mostly adults. We actually don't have that many kids in our audience. You can sign up at joinpacman.com, get access to the daily bonus show, the commercial-free audio and video streams of the show, the members-only town halls, and so much more. And you can use the coupon code OBAMNA to get a sizable discount, more than 50%. Let me leave it there. But you've got to spell OBAMNA correctly, which it's sort of like correctly, incorrectly. It's OBAMNA. That's Mike Nancy, OBAMNA, at joinpacman.com. All right, let's talk a little bit about Kari Lake. Kari Lake is the Republican nominee for the Arizona gubernatorial race. Kari Lake is one of the most extreme candidates that has a shot at winning in this current slate of very deranged and delusional Republicans that are running and will be potentially winning, some of them, in just about 20 days. In a moment, we will talk about an unlikely, unless you've been paying attention, an unlikely supporter of Kari Lake showing up and campaigning for her. Her name is Tulsi Gabbard, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Over the weekend, and it's taken me time to get to this because the shows have been so packed, Kari Lake appeared on CNN. And Kari Lake very clearly did not commit to accepting the results of the election if she were to lose. Now, Kari Lake is slicker than some of the other MAGA nuts, where she was just able to say, there's no way I'm going to lose, and I will, of course, accept the results of me winning. But this is a way to avoid committing to accepting the results if she loses. And we know she's not going to accept the results if she loses. How do we know? Well, even in the Republican primary, it took a while to get a final result. During the counting period, including when she fell behind, she started crying voter fraud. So we know from what happened a couple months ago that she's not going to accept the results. Anyway, let's get to the clip. Here is Dana Bash trying to pin her down on this.
My question is, will you accept the results of your election in November?
I'm going to win the election and I will accept that result.
If you lose, will you accept that?
I'm going to win the election and I will accept that result because the people of Arizona will never support and vote for a coward like Katie Hobbs who won't show up on a debate stage. She's singing.
You know, I said this regarding the White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany's comments in the summer of 2020, which was, the president can't decide, shouldn't be able to decide whether to accept the results solely on the basis of whether they have won or they have lost. But that's exactly what Trump and Kayleigh McEnany were setting Trump up to do in that summer of 2020. It was, I will accept it if I win, but it's going to be fraud if I lose. And Trump never said it in that language. Kayleigh never said it in that language, but they made it clear. There's all these ways Democrats are going to try to steal it. And if indeed we lose by a little bit, It will be because Democrats have stolen it. But obviously, if we win, if we are reelected by the will of the people, which of course we will be, then we will accept that. And at the time I said, this isn't how democracy is supposed to work. And it is happening again. Republicans will accept election results when they win. And if they don't win, they will say that it was fraudulent or it was stolen or it was rigged or whatever the case may be. That is actual authoritarian fascism. That's not actually democracy. There was more of this very delusional interview. I'll play a little bit of it for you here.
If leaders like you and President Trump are saying that the election was stolen, aren't you participating, contributing, even causing the idea of people thinking that the election is not safe and secure?
No, we are going to make sure our elections are safe and secure for Democrats, independents, and Republicans alike. We want to know that our legal vote counted. We want to know the winner on election night. We don't want to be counting for 10 days. And we want everyone to know.
But shouldn't count it? Don't you want your votes to be counted in
trail?
Don't you want your votes to be counted, no matter how long it takes in 2022 in November?
Dana, I've been on the campaign trail for 503 days. I talked to moms and dads who are losing children because of fentanyl poisoning. I talked to retirees who can't afford gas and food. I talked to parents whose children are getting out of high school and can't read. We have serious problems.
I totally agree. I totally agree, which is why the election denial.
You want to have me on here, Dana. You want to have me on here and talk 2020 election, and you're the one who accuses
I would
me
never bring this up, ever, had you not been bringing this up consistently on the campaign trail. Let's look.
Kari Lake is truly horrible.
Forward then.
Can we talk
Will you
about
accept the results of the election?
Okay, so now we get into the part that we have already seen. This is a critical election in Arizona. I can't tell you how much of a joke the United States will be seen as. I mean, listen, Trump won in 2016, so the being seen as a joke would not be new. But this woman is a cartoon. And sadly, she's winning right now. The Real Clear Politics average for the Arizona gubernatorial race between Kari Lake and Katie Hobbs has Kari Lake 1.6 points ahead. 1.6 points ahead, with a new DW Trafalgar poll having her +3. That being said, there's a KPHO poll from 4 days prior, which has Katie Hobbs up 1. But the message here is, and we've got a great TikTok video actually about this, Kari Lake could win and turn Arizona into truly a laughingstock of the United States globally, where people are emailing me saying, what the hell is wrong with these people, particularly Kari Lake? They may do it. They may do it. And so I hope that all of our Arizona voters are planning to vote. This is one we'll be watching very closely. All right, so one more sort of Kari Lake story, but it's also a Tulsi Gabbard story. I don't know that I have to rehash the entire story, but Tulsi Gabbard is a former Democratic congresswoman. She ran for president back in 2020 for the Democratic primary. And at the time, I told you, guys, this is not really a leftist. This is a grifter. This is not an interesting candidate. She's not bringing interesting ideas. She's just bamboozling people. And many in my audience understood that. Some did not. And they said, Tulsi's the last real liberal. She's truly the anti-war candidate. She's truly this, that, the other thing. Okay. Obviously untrue. Cut to last week, Tulsi says, I'm no longer a Democrat. And in her speech leaving the Democratic Party, she lists a whole bunch of different conspiracy theories, anti-white racism, wokeism, an elitist cabal that's in control. It's almost like QAnon stuff. But she's an independent now. She's a centrist and she's taking blah, 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 blah. Okay. Who's she campaigning for last night? Kari Lake. Kari Lake. Tulsi Gabbard, widely promoted as showing up in support of Kari Lake, one of the most extreme candidates running in 2022 who has a chance to win. I will tell you a little bit about that in a moment, but here are Tulsi and Kari throwing bouquets at each other.
I am so blown away. They said we have a good crowd tonight. This is a massive I feel like a rock star up here, Tulsi.
You are a rock star, Kari.
And you know what's amazing? The young Republicans are not just the future, they are the Republican Party, the new Republican Party. Wow. I gotta thank Austin.
Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard, who wants us to believe that she is no longer part of the Democratic Party, but she's still a centrist. She still holds many progressive or at least left-leaning values, and she sees the good of both sides and all this stuff. One of her first acts as an independent, having left defiantly and because of her principles and values, left the Democratic Party. One of her first acts is to show up in support of Kari Lake, who led anti-mask rallies. Masks, guys. Told a group of Republican retirees she was prophylactically taking hydroxychloroquine to avoid getting COVID-19. That's something Kari Lake said to people. Kari Lake said that if she becomes governor, she will work to have hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin produced in Arizona to make it easier to get people those life-saving COVID drugs, which of course don't do anything to help when you have COVID, as demonstrated by actual medical trials. She accused Joe Biden and Democrats of having a, quote, demonic agenda. She's doing the demonic stuff. And Tulsi goes, now that I'm a clear-thinking independent, I'm going to go and support Kari Lake. Kari Lake expressed support for banning both surgical and medication abortions outright in Arizona. And of course, Kari Lake, for nearly 2 years, has been a leading voice arguing that Trump won the 2020 election when he very clearly and obviously lost. Kari Lake is a disgusting ideologue, an extremist reactionary. And now that Tulsi Gabbard is seeing the world more clearly because she's no longer part of the Democratic Party, she chooses to go and say, here's who I'm supporting, Kari Lake. Absolutely disgusting. And I've been hearing from dozens of our viewers over the last week since Tulsi bailed on the Democratic Party. Dozens of our viewers saying, David, I fell for it. And I feel so stupid now. It was so obvious, guys. Tulsi Gabbard was not what she claimed to be. And now she's campaigning for Kari Lake. We'll have these clips, by the way, that I played on our Instagram, which you can find by searching Instagram for David Pakman Show. If you value what we do at the David Pakman Show, remember to support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show, where you can get access to behind the scenes videos, the daily bonus show, the commercial-free daily show, as well as special discounts on merch, including hats, hoodies, mugs, and t-shirts. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month. Check it out at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. So the Kanye West anti-Semitism, anti-Jewish comments just will not stop. We have another short interview to look at. And again, I want to really explain to you all the reason I don't care about Kanye West. I don't care about him as an artist, and I don't care about him as part of the cultural milieu. What concerns me about Kanye West is that it is the prototypical example of a guy who is saying insane things about Jews, and it's just not taken as seriously in social media and elsewhere as it would be if it was some other individual, a white person, for example, attacking a different group. And this is the soft indifference to anti-Semitism that I have spoken about before. West is unhinged. Let's look at some clips. He was interviewed by Chris Cuomo, now on News Nation, which is it's a new channel of some kind, asked about the anti-Semitic comments themselves. And here's what he had to say.
Couldn't it also be that you have said things that offend the community guidelines, like anti-Semitic comments and things that are seen as insensitive and potentially threatening to communities that we try to protect?
Well, I don't like the term anti-Semitic.
Yeah, a lot of anti-Semites don't.
It's been a term that's allowed people, specifically in my industry, to get away with murder, sometimes literally.
Wow. Literal murder is happening because of the word anti-Semitism.
And get away with robbing and doing bad people.
A lot of robbing happens because of the word anti-Semitism. This is sick.
Always say I got screwed on a deal. Would that become as a surprise to you if I said, hey, a music exec screwed someone on a deal? Does that sound kind of like normal, commonplace to you? So for me,
it doesn't have anything to do with being anti-Semitic.
It does if you're Kanye, because his argument is that the Jews are screwing him.
Unless you believe that all record producers are Jewish, or, you know, it's when you talk about Jewish people specifically as targeting them that creates a problem.
It's anti-Semitic, but I don't believe in that term. One thing is,
he doesn't believe in it, guys. Imagine if someone said after throwing around the N-word, and they were like, that's insanely racist. And they go, I don't believe in the term racist. Oh, all right. Well, I guess it's fine.
Black people are also Jew. I classify as Jew also. So I actually can't be an anti-Semite. So the term.
Yeah. Kanye can't be anti-Semitic because he also is Jew, as he likes to say. I'm not going to do the full explanation now about this entire Black Israelite 12 Lost Tribes thing. I've already done it a bunch of times before, but that movement in and of itself is quite a racist movement. Here's another segment from this just completely delusional interview in which Kanye says he's been texting with Kid Rock, which doesn't come as a huge surprise to me, I must say.
It's actually something Kid Rock just gave me a text about that. Go to places where you're celebrated, not where you're just tolerated.
Ooh.
You know, I bring a lot.
Kanye's upset that he wants to be given some kind of prize for calling out the Jews, essentially. He's not being celebrated for his anti-Semitism.
I bring a lot of attention to these platforms, to Instagram and to Twitter, and they silo you. They shadow ban you. Everyone knows I was shadow banned on Instagram.
Yeah. And what's wild is he's even using the rhetoric of these right wingers. The right wingers always tell me, David, you've shadow banned me on your platform. And they get it from prominent right wingers and Republicans who have been talking about shadow bans for a while. And now Kanye is using it. This guy's disgusting. It's not getting the reaction that I believe it deserves. And now potentially Kanye is going to buy himself social media platform Parler, which we talked about on yesterday's bonus show. Failed former President Donald Trump was given the opportunity to respond to Kanye West's anti-Semitic comments. Now, this was an interesting question. This was with Larry O'Connor, Larry O'Connor from the Salem News channel. And Kanye has praised Trump before. And when you praise Trump, Trump will rarely criticize you, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, even though Donald Trump has a Jewish daughter by conversion and a Jewish son-in-law and Jewish grandkids and all this stuff. Trump, we know, harbors many anti-Semitic beliefs, but he's also not going to attack Kanye over this, would be my guess, because Kanye is nice to Trump and likes Trump. And indeed, Trump downplayed Kanye's anti-Semitic comments in this just complete implosion of an interview.
He's been saying some really offensive things lately about your own son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and about Jewish people, Jewish Americans.
Yeah, he's attacking your family.
Writ large. Could you react to that? Because is this the guy that you knew?
Well, I haven't really seen the statements he's made.
Give me a break, dude.
I did watch the Tucker Carlson interview, and he was really nice to me.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Listen, the anti-Semitic comments, including the ones against my own son-in-law, that I didn't see, but he had great reviews for me when he spoke to Tucker. And by the way, Tucker cut out anti-Semitic elements of that interview as well, which we later obtained.
Beyond anybody, he was great to me, and he was great really to MAGA, to the MAGA movement, which was very impressive. I was, not surprised. I always got along with him. I liked him. I've always gotten along with him. So I don't really know what statements he made. Sometimes he'll make a statement, and a lot of people will think it's worse than he means it to be.
Right. Guys, Kanye's overtly anti-Semitic statements, including listing a dozen different anti-Semitic tropes in that drink, whatever interview that I played for you earlier this week, it was all blown up and taken out of context.
I think that, I was certainly very, you know what I'm talking about. He was really high on a guy named Donald Trump.
Yeah. He's been saying some...
Trump's approach is, I don't care what he says as long as he's nice to me. That's fundamentally what it is. Let's look at a little bit more of this interview. The entire interview is bizarre.
Again, let's get all those questions answered. I'm very proud to be joined by the 45th President, Donald Trump. Mr. President, thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's an honor.
I know that you're focusing on the 2022 primaries. You're doing your rallies, and I know that there's a lot of candidates that you single-handedly endorse. The latest polling shows a red wave coming. How much credit do you think you deserve for what's about to happen?
That's a really good question to open it up with. How much should we be praising you for any Republican win in November, sir?
Well, I think we deserve a lot of credit for having done a really good job over 4 years so that we had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We had the strongest border ever. We defeated ISIS. We would have never had the catastrophe that's going on in Ukraine. That was not something that would ever have happened, 100%. We were energy independent. We were going to be energy dominant in a very short period of time.
Right.
We would have been supplying the world with energy. We would have made a fortune. We would have brought down the taxes and many other things. We rebuilt the military. A lot of things that we did.
Was that 12 lies in 90 seconds? Is that actually what I just heard? So as you can imagine, not exactly significant journalistic rigor during this very strange interview. But listen, if you're nice to Trump, you can get away with saying anything, even overtly anti-Semitic comments about Trump's own son-in-law. Must be nice to just have that simple moral guidepost. If they say nice things about me, I'll say nice things about them. We'll take a quick break and be back after this. Follow us on social media, interact with the David Pakman Show community, see exclusive content, see when we're taking calls live, and stay up to date on other big show announcements. We post daily. Find us on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and TikTok. All right, let's look at a couple other things that I have for you today. I'm going to play a clip for you now from what is supposedly the straight news. I don't mean heterosexual, by the way. I think when I'm talking about Fox News, it's important to clarify. Fox News does this thing where they say, okay, listen, we have our straight news and we have our opinion. Sure, the opinion side has a right-wing lean because those are the individuals we have. They are allowed to give their views and say whatever they want. But when we do news, when we do straight news, our anchors, they are just doing news. Now, we all know that that's not true. We've known for years that that's not true. One of the techniques that the Fox straight news shows will do to do the very same opinion that the opinion shows do is Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity at night will give some disgusting opinion about something. And then the next day, Fox News hard news shows report on the opinion as if it is newsworthy, right? So Tucker will go, oh, immigrants make our country dirty and poor. But that's opinion. The next day, the anchor who doesn't do opinion goes, a Fox News host, Tucker Carlson, says that immigrants make our country dirtier and poorer. Is this true or not? Now we debate that with one talking head versus another talking. Okay, so you know that technique. But Harris Faulkner is a particular Fox News straight news anchor who is increasingly straight up using Tucker Carlson and other Fox News hosts' disgusting rhetoric about immigrants to the point that she's openly using Nazi-type rhetoric now on her program, I guess we call it. Okay, let's listen to what she had to say yesterday.
Caught my eye and ear. Senator, thank you for being in focus today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harris.
The fallout over the bombshell report on the DHS asking for military volunteers to do chores for people who've shown up at our border, including picking up the garbage after them. Now, I've shown you on this very program an exclusive video that they leave a trail of unspeakables from the river's edge until they can enter someplace illegally where there are no border patrol. Nobody there to stop them. Some sensors that are very, very slow to respond to because there's so many of them. They make our country look like what they left. And now our people are going to be picking up all that trash and all that excrement. it's in focus.
Oh boy, what a hard-hitting story. This is essentially straight up Nazi-style rhetoric that Nazis used about Jews, which now many of these right-wingers are using about Hispanic immigrants from Central and South America. They have been building up to this on Fox News for a long time. Okay, this is essentially using Tucker Carlson's poorer and dirtier rhetoric about immigrants. They make our country look like the crappy place they left behind, the trash that they left behind. And now we're going to be going around picking up their trash and excrement. This is straight up textbook, what the type of stuff that used to be said about Jews. Oh, they bring disease and they bring filth and they infect and they get released into the wild, sort of like animalistic type dehumanizing language. And understand that what I showed you is supposedly, ostensibly, not opinion journalism. That's the news hour on Fox News. It's just overt at this point in time. And so when we wonder, how can these what we call primary Fox News viewers, people who primarily get their news from Fox News, how do they believe so much stuff that's not true? How do they believe lies about climate change, the election, vaccines, taxes, the economy, oil, electric vehicles? How is it that they believe just so much stuff that's not true? It's because they only watch Fox News, or almost only watch Fox News. They can't tell the difference between news and opinion, and what is a fact and what is an opinion. And Fox News deliberately makes it difficult. And by difficult, I mean, like an intelligent person would be able to tell the difference. But Fox doesn't help distinguish between its opinion and news shows. And this is the type of stuff you get. Absolutely disgusting. One other thing from Fox News that is just laughable. Fox Nation, which is the streaming network for Fox News, they're doing a mock trial of Hunter Biden. No. I didn't say Joe Biden. They're doing a mock trial of Hunter Biden. They talk about impeaching Joe Biden, to which we often say, for what? For what? But if they did a mock trial of Joe Biden, at least Joe Biden's the president. But that's not what they're doing. They are doing a mock trial for Hunter Biden. It's fiction programming, okay? Take a look at this promo.
Hunter Biden is the most protected person in the country.
What?
Money laundering, illegal foreign lobbying. You have the laptop, infamous big guy email.
The son of the vice president is doing deals funded by the Chinese government.
There are so many pieces of evidence. The media has ignored it because they wanted Joe Biden elected president.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am here to defend Hunter Biden.
What?
They were attempting to influence policy.
Objection, Your Honor.
Let's look at photographs.
This is what I think of these photographs.
We really have no way of knowing what was said between him and these people.
Did he commit bribery?
Your Honor, if you're going to try my case, try not to lose it. At this time, the prosecution rests.
The trial of Hunter Biden, streaming all this week.
Oh my goodness. How can we even take this seriously? This could be so devastating. I don't know that anyone's going to vote for Hunter Biden after this program. Oh, he's not running for anything. Oh, fictional programming for their endlessly gullible audience. And again, we see these interviews at a Trump rally, and these people are obsessed with Hunter Biden. And we're like, why? Where is this stuff coming from? It's coming from places like this. It's coming from this type of programming. Mr. Biden, you're being charged with 2 counts of a laptop from hell and 2 counts of the Biden crime family. How do you plea? I really wish they would stop trying to make this Hunter Biden stuff happen. But it's also a reminder of how vapid and vacant they are in terms of having anything else. They don't have anything else to work with. This is all they have at this point in time. And yes, I know Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert say that they're going to impeach Joe Biden. Okay, They all seem much, much more focused on Hunter Biden. It's pathetic. It's humiliating. And again, remember, one of the ways in which Fox News has become what it is, and Fox Nation is the streaming arm of Fox News, one of the ways they've done it is they blur the lines between reality and fiction, and they blur the lines between news and opinion. And do we call this a film? I don't know if it's a series or a film. This mock trial of Hunter Biden is the epitome of appealing to low information folks who lack all media literacy, blurring opinion and news, fact and fiction, and hopefully nobody watches it. It looks like it's going to be a complete and total disaster. We have a voicemail number. That number is 2192 P. Here is a voicemail about the new finance channel. Yes, we have a finance channel, youtube.com/PacmanFinance. You know, we get so many voicemails from people who just don't understand what the hell I'm talking about. And I usually blame myself. I must be a terrible communicator. This caller knows exactly what the Pacman Finance channel is and is supposed to be. Take a listen.
Hey, David. I'd like to thank you so much for, creating the Pacman Finance YouTube channel.
Thank you.
I really like the content that you've been producing. It's very simple. Nothing too exquisite, like talking about, which stock should I buy or when should I buy Tesla. Just really simple, personal finance that I really feel like a lot of people are missing out today, especially in regards to credit scores, learning how to budget, stuff like that. And and also the fact that, you're not like Dave Ramsey. That's also a very refreshing thing. So,
yes.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for creating the Pacman Finance channel, and I look forward to seeing the channel, get up to, 1 million.
Well, listen, I don't know about 1 million subscribers, but I have to tell you, the Pacman Finance channel has grown more quickly out of the gate to 10,000 subscribers than any other channel or project we've been involved in. Now, I want to remind everybody, I have nothing to sell you. It is an alternative to these right-wing finance folks. Dave Ramsey, who gives financial advice, but he's anti-vax and has horrible employment practices he's been accused of at his organization. You don't need that. You can get all the information without the anti-vax nuttery, okay? So, indeed, there's no stock picking. There's none of that. Check out the channel, youtube.com/PacmanFinance, more than 11,000 subscribers. It's all free. There's nothing you even could pay for if you wanted. It's all free. So many basic personal finance topics. I always say we should start teaching this stuff to 12-year-olds, and we don't. So we're offering it for free on the channel, okay? Recent topics, the hidden cost of low prices, okay? How low prices can actually lead to more spending. Is it better to pay with cash or credit cards? Understanding the math of retirement, why health insurance is important, Roth versus traditional IRAs, understanding net worth, why the stock market has been down, improving your credit score, why you shouldn't bother trying to time the market, all of these things. It is just free, simple topics, okay? youtube.com/PacmanFinance. If more folks knew the stuff and understood the content that was on this channel, we would have way fewer people fall for financial scams, number one. And in general, people would be better off in terms of understanding their financial position. No stock picks. If you're expecting stock picks, this is not the channel for you. If you're expecting anti-vax, this is not the channel for you. Go to Dave Ramsey for the anti-vax finance stuff. youtube.com/PacmanFinance. Okay, enough. On today's bonus show, great bonus show today, yet another acquittal related to Durham. Trump and Republicans have been saying, Durham's going to get this person, that person, it's going to be crazy. Yet another Durham acquittal. It's a humiliation for the right-wingers. The White House is pushing ahead on a plan to research the idea of cooling the earth by reflecting sunlight back out into space. Discussed in science fiction for decades. Could it become a reality? We will talk about it today on the bonus show. And also, I know that I just told you that the new British Prime Minister replacing Boris Johnson is Liz Truss. She's been in, a few weeks? She's already only hanging on by a thread. Party members are calling for her to be removed. And this could be one of the shortest tenures as British Prime Minister in British history. Fascinating. I guess not good for Liz Truss, but maybe good for the people of the UK. All of those stories and more on today's bonus show.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money, but everybody else that makes money to fund themselves is bad. Thank your lucky stars every day. You're not Dave Pakman.
Well, many of our viewers do thank their lucky stars every single day that they have access to the bonus show. Sign up at joinpakman.com. We will see you on the bonus show or otherwise back here tomorrow.